All right, today we're going to be looking at 7-1 prep. We're getting ready for quadratic equations, and problem 1 wants us to do two parts. The first is to identify the value of n that makes a polynomial a perfect square, and then it says factor the result. So I'm going to go ahead and just show you both parts here. So this is coming from completing the square. This is a method that we don't use very often. It's the same as quadratic formula, and it's easier for students to use quadratic formula. However, if we're going to do completing the square, there are multiple steps, but right now our coefficient is already isolated, like there's no number in front of it. And then we have our middle term, 6p. So we're really focusing on the coefficient of the middle term and figuring out what we need to add to this problem to give it a perfect square. So what you do to figure that out is you take this b. So when we do a quadratic equation, quadratic equations are usually of the form ax squared plus bx plus c. So we're trying to figure out the c value. I'm going to refer to the middle term as b, and then the a would be the term in front of the squared term. So you're going to take the middle term, b, you're going to divide it by 2, and you're going to square it. Okay, so that's going to give you the c value that's going to give you a perfect square trinomial. So in this case, we would take 6 divided by 2 and then square the result. So 6 divided by 2 is 3, and then you're going to do 3 squared. Now I like to write it like this because that's going to help me to factor it, but in simplest forms, 3 squared will be 9. Okay? So 9 is the value that we want to write here. Now when it comes to factoring this, the shortcut to doing so is to leave that term in its squared form. The sign that goes here is the same sign that you have here, because when you divide it by 2, every time you square it, it's going to be positive, but you'll see when we need to do positive or negative. But coming to factoring it, you're going to just take these 2 squared terms and put them together. So it'll be a p plus 3, and then you write squared on the outside. And so I'm going to go ahead and show you that, hey, we didn't just ignore the 6p, it's buried in there, it's just in the factor form. So I'm going to FOIL this out just so you can see. So if we do p plus 3 times p plus 3, p times p will give us p squared, and then p times the 3 will give us plus 3p, and then this inside 3 times p will give you another plus 3p, and then 3 times 3 will give us plus 9. Okay, so the two middle terms, 3p, 3p, are the same, so you get p squared plus 6p plus 9. Okay, so this is only part of the process. You can see that that matches. So that 6p, we didn't just ignore it, it's still there, but this is the factor form that we want. So I just want you to see that whole process. So in this case, the value of n that makes this a perfect square trinomial will be 9, and then the expression p squared plus 6p plus 9 in factor form is the p plus 3 raised to the second power. So perfect square is what we're looking for, and that's how that works.